All right, everyone. Well, welcome to our webinar. Today, we're going to show you how to improve your handling and speed up your dog without getting frustrated.
So during the opening chat, we already talked a little bit about this, but there is a chat feature that you can use. You can also specifically ask a question, and that'll get put onto a separate screen for us. And on the chat, if you change, you can change who it goes to either be panelist or panelist and attendees. Panelist just means me and Esteban and a couple of people that we have helping us out. And then to avoid any problems, it's probably best if you just have this window open. This is live streaming technology here. So, turning off Facebook, turning off Gmail, that's going to give you the best experience. So if somebody says they can't see us, you shouldn't see us, but you should be able to see a PowerPoint presentation.
But don't worry, we put in a couple pictures of us.
That's true. We do have a couple pictures. And if you can't see anything, it'll be like a podcast.
Well, let's start with the introductions. And here we have those pictures that I promised you. And I'm Esteban.
And I'm Sarah. And we're the co-creators of Bad Dog Agility. We're the voices that you hear on the Bad Dog Agility podcast. And we've done the live stream announcing for the Challenge Round and Finals at the American Kennel Club Nationals for the past 3 years as well. And just in case, on the left, that's Esteban, and on the right, that's Sarah.
I'm glad you cleared that up for everybody.
That's
for
right.
Those of you who don't know, we've been married 17 years and have 2 children, Isaac, who's 12, and Hannah, who's 7. She really loves dogs. Isaac, not so much. Now, for fans of the podcast, Isaac does the joke at the very end after the music stops.
That's right. All right, and for everyone who sticks around to the very end, we have a great bonus for you. We're going to be raffling off not 1, but 2 $100 Amazon gift cards. So you definitely want to stick around and be a part of that raffle. So first of all, we just want to let you know that being here on the webinar, you are in the right place because we love dog agility. And just like us, you are passionate about dog agility. You're a competitor, an instructor, a judge, a trainer, a club member, trial secretary, or someone who's just getting started in the sport. But the important thing is you have a love for the sport.
And you're like me. You want your dog to run fast and clean. You want to look athletic and graceful when you're running. You want to earn titles. You want to impress your family and friends. Some of you dream about making the finals at big events, being on TV, running at Westminster, Crufts, the national championship, the world championship.
But the reality is you may be struggling a little bit. Your dog may turn wide, they go off course, they drop bars. I'm sure that picture hurts a little bit right there. That's Gitchy dropping a bar.
Ouch.
They miss weave pull entries. They miss their contacts. That's clearly about to be a huge fly off by a Border Collie Rook. For many of you, this is probably not the first time that you've attended a lecture or a seminar to try to find a solution to your problem. It hasn't worked in the past, and that's not necessarily your fault because there's a lot of information out there. And we're here to help you sort through it all. So in agility, what are your biggest fears? When you start having problems, you start to doubt yourself. And we could put all of your fears into 3 big categories.
And before we do that, just take a moment here and type in the comments now because we can see them just like we could see where you're from. What is your biggest fear? What do you think is holding you back? What are you afraid of when you step to the line with your dog? Or for those of you who haven't started showing yet, what's keeping you from starting?
And then we're going to put those fears to rest because you can do this and we're going to help. So we have things like contacts, handling. Wow, I'm going to have to go back and read them. They go so fast. Forgetting the course, that's a big one. We see that a lot. More contacts, slow runs, sniffing, slow moving dog.
And people are afraid of ruining their dog. That's a really common fear. Sometimes it keeps you from even getting started in your training, right? You're worried that your dog is too slow. Other people are worried that their dog is too fast and out of control. We've got drop bars. We've got people here, start line issues, disengaged dog. I'm looking at it here, drop bars, contacts, footwork, a lot of dogs shutting down, dogs running out of the ring. And that's something that we've had happen to us. In fact, Sarah's Border Collie, if you look at a lot of the video demonstrations of Venture, fantastic dog. He's doing amazing things, handling at a very, very high level. That's a dog that's run out of the ring.
Yeah, when he was young and inexperienced.
That's right. And so that's something that we have had to work through. And those are the kind of experiences that we can share with you. Forgetting the course. Yeah, that really seems to be a big one. And people having issues with weave pulls. So all very, very common.
So we predicted some of these things, and they fall into some buckets. So one of them is being afraid that you're not a great handler.
You're afraid that you're never going to be the handler your dog needs. You know, you're too old, you're too slow, you're too uncoordinated, you don't have enough experience. There's something wrong with you. A lot of people are afraid that your dog is the problem. They don't run fast. They're out of control. They wander off and sniff the ground. All of the things that you people are putting in the comments right now, they make lots of mistakes on their weaves and contacts. You're afraid that even when your handling's okay and your dog is good, you can't perform well because your mental game is weak. You do poorly at big events when people are watching. You have problems memorizing courses. A lot of you people wrote that just now, and you feel sick to your stomach before big runs.
Knowledge is power. So whether you're a newcomer to agility or an experienced competitor, our goal for this presentation is to help you to start conquering these fears with knowledge that took us years to acquire. And that's why we're going to share it with you right now. Let's take a look at what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn how trainers unconsciously teach their dogs to run slower than they're capable of running, and what you can do to free your dog to run their absolute fastest. You'll learn why video analysis has completely revolutionized the sport and how you can benefit from that without being a professional videographer or a technology expert. You'll learn how strong social support and positive interactions can reduce burnout and improve well-being for agility competitors, and how you can build a system that does this for you.
Well, let me jump right in. I'm going to tell you exactly how you might be teaching your dog to run slow and how you can fix that. So this is our first agility dog, Sammy the Rottweiler. And Sarah actually did agility for a whole year before I started in the sport. And here's how she got me hooked. So I get to tell the story. We were at a show, and I, who had never set foot in the ring, was giving her lots of really good advice on what she could do better.
Oh, great advice.
And she told me, you give it a try. And so I said, okay, I will. And I ran that Rottweiler in open, which is like intermediate level. It's not novice. You know, I didn't qualify, but I was hooked. So, of course, I had to get my own dog. Next thing you know, Sarah's flying back to Texas from New York with the most beautiful golden retriever puppy I had ever seen. Her name was Gypsy, and she was my first agility dog. All right, well, I've got some numbers here for you. Now, Gypsy is the dog that I'm currently running, and Gypsy is the dog I just told you about. This is the yards per second for both jumpers and standard for Gypsy and Gypsy at 20 inches. And you can see that Gypsy is much faster than Gypsy was. This is their career average over their lifetime. You can see it's not really a fair comparison. For those of you who don't know, Gypsy is an amazingly fast golden that I coned with Susan Frazier and Steve Matthews of Mandeville, Louisiana, and I train and run in agility. So she spends most of her time over there in Louisiana, and when she gets ready for Nationals, Westminster tryouts, she comes over here for several weeks or a few months and trains with me here. She actually just a couple of months ago, she almost won the AKC National Championship in the very competitive 20-inch class, taking third place, and that was by 0.76 seconds, so less than a second behind the winning Border Collie, so very proud of her effort. Now, there are obvious differences between the dogs in terms of size, drive, and athleticism. Not to mention, Gypsy's got running contacts, and Gypsy had terrible contacts because, like a lot of you out there, I didn't know any better 15 years ago. But there's one key difference between these two dogs, and it happened because of the way that I trained them. I always wanted Gypsy to be right, but I wanted Gypsy to be fast. So back to Gypsy, because I always wanted her to run clean, and I wanted to be clean in shows, even in practices. You know, I was very competitive. I wanted to win in practice. I rewarded her whenever she was right, And I punished her whenever she got it wrong, because back then that's how we did it. We did a lot of shaming, right? She'd miss a contact. I'd say, oh, you bad girl, right? She misses a weave pull entry. No, 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 let's try again. And back then we'd keep trying until we got it right, even if the dog was going slower and slower, because that was the name of the game to me, getting it right, getting that clean run. I was teaching her that there was a lot of value in checking in with me in order to be correct. She wanted to be right because that's what made me happy. And she wanted me to be happy because she's a wonderful golden retriever. That's what they do. In fact, this is what all dogs do, in my opinion. And so I was teaching her to be slow. Now, I didn't understand what I was doing to her until I was well on my way to becoming a doctor. You know, when you're a medical student or a new doctor, you're heavily supervised, so you don't accidentally kill people. And one of my supervisors was a pretty bad teacher. You know, if you did something right, she gave you lukewarm praise, right? Very reluctant. If you did something wrong or answered a question incorrectly, she acted like it was the end of the world, right? And that you were a stupid person who'd never be a good doctor. So what happened? Me and my fellow doctors, you know, we worked under her for a month. You do these rotations, you change every month. But within just a few days, we'd stop volunteering answers. We tried to avoid her at all costs, and we never did anything without checking with her first. She had taught us to be slow. I love this picture here, golden retriever, not one of mine. Is it a dog or is it a turtle? Well, it turns out that many people are unknowingly slowing their dogs down in the very same way that I did to Gypsy, and that this doctor did to all of us young doctors. And this doesn't happen just for very slow dogs that are barely making course time. This is an issue that affects even the very fastest dogs in our sport today. If you've got a fast dog, they can probably be a little bit faster. So how do we avoid this problem? Well, I want you to make your agility training like Disneyland for your dog. Your dog needs to feel safe from punishment, because if you're constantly worried about something bad that's going to happen, it's a lot harder to do your job quickly and correctly.
I love this picture because this is the field that we train on, and we have literally turned it into Disneyland in this picture.
Yeah, I like that too. And here we have my big training rules. So if you're going to come train with me, these are the house rules. And this is how we turn dogs with issues into dogs that shine on the agility field. You know, and all dogs have issues. You know, whether it's Sarah and Venture, I told you about Venture, whether it's Gitchy, all dogs have their issues. So let's talk a little bit more about punishment. No physical or verbal punishment. I really want you to watch your body language. Don't stand over your dog. I see that a lot on start lines. You know, when dogs break the start line and the handler goes back and sits them again, they'll stand over them. It's very intimidating when someone stands over you. No dirty looks, no harsh words. This includes no reward marks. So most dogs are going to view no reward marks as punishers, even when the word is said calmly. You know, for myself, my no reward mark usually has some emotion behind it, right? Some negative emotion, so I don't use it. Someone did a very interesting study for her master's thesis where 27 dogs were taught to put 2 legs into a hoop on the floor. So, you know, a pretty simple trick. Half of them were clicker trained. The other half were also clicker trained, but they also heard a tone when they made a mistake. So now this tone, of course, is perfectly neutral, right? It's the middle C on a piano, right? So they play this tone. Because the argument that people will give you, or the argument that I'm giving you, right, is, oh, I can't use a no reward mark because I sound angry when I say it.
Because I can't do it well.
Because I can't do it well. Well, here they take all the emotion out of it because it's just a noise, an automatic sound that's made and generated. You know, so that's pretty interesting. Well, let's take a look at what happened. Who did better? Well, the dogs that were clicker trained only performed better. Those are the ones that didn't get any no reward marks. And so in my experience, it kind of agrees with that study. No reward marks are okay for some dogs, all right? Highly trained dogs, experienced dogs, but not for most dogs. So if you come to me, I'm usually going to recommend that you eliminate it from your training and see what happens. So remember, you always want to tailor your training to your dog.
Somebody wanted an explanation of no reward mark.
Oh, my apologies. So You're probably familiar with the basic idea of positive reinforcement. At the moment the dog is doing something that we want them to do, we're going to use a sound to mark that behavior. All right, and we're going to use most commonly a clicker. But if you don't have a clicker, you can say something. I like to say yes, right? So let's say my kids are really dirty, and then they go to the bathroom and they wash their hands, and I see them washing their hands. I'm going to say yes. And when I say yes, I'm going to slap a candy bar on the sink right next to them. They're going to be far more likely to repeat that behavior, especially in my presence, to see if they can get a candy bar out of it. Okay, and that's how we're going to use positive reinforcement to increase a behavior. So the no reward mark is exactly the opposite. So let's say they come in there and their hands are all dirty and they decide they're going to pick their nose. I say, oh, that's so disgusting. The moment I see that, I'm going to say no. I'm not going to give them anything, right? And they should know from me saying no, that no reward is coming.
And it doesn't mean punishment. It just means
no punishment.
You're not going to get a reward.
It's a dead end.
So what a lot of trainers will use is they'll use like an uh-oh or a whoops or an eh, something like that. Those are typical no reward marks.
And the idea here, right, and the idea here is that the dog is going to not offer that behavior as frequently. It is like a dead end.
Right.
Try something else. Right. Offer me something
You're
else.
on the wrong track.
Right. So it's one of those things that
in theory
sounds really good, and in practice doesn't quite give you the results that you're looking for.
That's
so
right.
I'm really glad you asked that question. My apologies for not defining it. So aside from tailoring your training to your dog and really watching your body language and your verbals here, I really focus on increasing reward rate. Sarah, in my opinion, I'm always saying this, right? What separates the good trainers from the great trainers?
It's reinforcement and rewards.
Reinforcement and rewards. A lot of people are going to reach for things like, well, that guy's taller.
Right.
That guy's more athletic, right? That guy's dog is 1 inch taller than that dog. No. The real difference has happened in the training field. And this is something that I want to share with you guys. Use your transition time to cue simple behaviors. So what's a transition? Well, when you finish running a sequence, good or bad, and you go back to the start and do it again, the time from the end to the beginning, that's the transition time, that in-between time, that dead time. And it actually makes up the majority of your training, right? You run 20 obstacles in 45 seconds, you're done.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
But the time it takes for you to take your dog back, talk with your instructor, get some feedback, and give it another shot, that could be a minute or two, right? So 60, 70% of your time is not running time. It's transition time. And so what I like to do is use that transition time. Instead of talking to your instructor, your friends, you should be rewarding your dog. Hurry back to the start line for your next attempt. Shorten up that transition time. After a failure, how many of you out there, when your dog makes a mistake, they mess up a sequence, they fly off a contact or something, you purposely take your time going back to the start line because you want to let your dog know, hey, you messed up. You did something wrong, and I am dragging my feet on purpose to let you know that. You're trying to send your dog a message. A lot of people do that, and there's no need for that. And by definition, it's going to reduce your reward rate. And the story that I always like to tell, and I'm sure at least some of you out there have already heard it. If I'm a guy and I'm sitting on a bench with a beautiful woman, say my wife here, Sarah, and I lean in for a kiss, and she leans away from me, I failed. There's no, I know that I've messed up somehow, right? I wasn't correct, okay? She doesn't have to give me a 5-minute timeout or drag her feet somewhere else, drag us off to some other location for me to understand that something hasn't gone right, okay? I know in the instant that the reinforcement is not there that I have messed up. And so when you're training your dog and they get something right and you're saying, yay, and you throw them a toy and you give them food within a couple of seconds, if there's ever a time they don't get that toy and food in a couple of seconds, they know something's gone wrong.
That's right. And somebody asked, how do you teach their dog what they did right and what they did wrong if you don't have markers? We do use markers for what they, when they get it right. And when they don't get that marker, when they don't get the reward, that's all the information they need to know that they've done it wrong. And then we really concentrate on rewarding what we want to see and jackpotting when everything is going right.
That's right. So these simple behaviors, what are they? What do I like to do? Hand touches, right? You have your dog touch your hand. They may do nose touches. They can touch your hand with their nose. You can sit. You can recall them. I'm not afraid to call my dog and then give them a treat. So let's say we mess up a sequence. Gitchy drops 3 bars. I head back to the start line and I say, Gitchy. She comes running toward me and I say yes, and I give her a treat. Now that yes and treat is not for all those bars she just dropped, but trust me, it's been long enough that she knows she's not being rewarded for those bars, because if she hadn't dropped those bars, we would be going on to the next part of the sequence. She knows right away something has gone wrong. But I use that in the transition to keep the reinforcement rate up. You can also use eye contact, and this works with food or with tugging. This way, even if your dog messes up a sequence, say 3 times in a row, they're still getting rewarded. And that usually is going to give you better drive and motivation.
And Chantel says, so you're saying reward frequently and excited when right, and when wrong, just ignore it and try again. That's basically it. That's how we like to run our training, because it is so important to keep our dogs' enthusiasm and drive up. It's the most important thing, way more important than being correct, because remember the story that we started out with. We don't want to teach our dogs that being correct is the most important thing. We want to teach our dogs that being fast and correct is the most important thing.
That's right. You need that speed element in agility. And this is a really big deal, because when agility first started, it was really a growth that kind of came from an expansion of and incorporated a lot of obedience. And obedience is very much, as practiced a long time ago in many parts of the world, an exercise in control. You knew exactly what routine you were going to do. It was the same routine every time, and your dog just had to do it. Okay? Agility is not like that. Everywhere you go, every time you run, the course is different. It's part of the reason that people love agility so much. You know, it's new, it's interesting, it's challenging. Not just when you first start in the sport, but every time you go. And so, you know, that's how the two sports are different. And Chantel, I was just like you, right? When I first learned dog training from obedience type instructors, I was taught you have to let the dog know that they are wrong. And it turns out that simply isn't true. And when I experimented with it myself with several different dogs, I found that my fast dogs became even faster, and that my slow dogs became fast, and that I took Gitchy, who, you know, frankly wasn't even the fastest dog in her litter when she started with me, and turned her into really a national world-class type of dog, you know, the fastest golden retriever out there right now.
That's right. And Oscar mentioned taking the tiniest little break before reward. And he's obviously been watching our live show. That's exactly what I do. You have it exactly right. If my dog gets it right, there is like less than a second of a delay. And then I just say, get it, and let him get his toy.
All right. So here we have 2 trainers. We've got me and not me. Now, our dogs are going to do the exact same sequence. They're going to mess it up the first 2 times, and they're going to get it right the 3rd time. And we're going to each take the same amount of time. Let's say it takes 2 minutes to try it 3 times. You can see that after my dog fails, I'm going to ask for simple behaviors: a recall, a hand touch, some spins, a sit. And every time my dog does those simple behaviors, I'm going to give them rewards. Now, the other trainer, they're not doing anything during this transition time, so nothing. Now, at the end, I'm going to give my dog a very nice reward, and I'm going to be very happy and enthusiastic about it. It's going to be a jackpot. Now, the other trainer is going to be really exasperated, right? They're going to say, oh, finally, you got it right. Okay, here's a cookie. When you look at these 2 dogs, which dog do you think is going to be more motivated to keep training and run faster?
And you know, I'm familiar with this concept, but then seeing it in this chart, I love it. It is so very clear how important this is, and what a different experience it is for the dog. So don't be not me, be me. All right, so now that we've sped up your dog and we've built up their drive and enthusiasm, it's time to take a look at the handler. So now we're going to start talking about video analysis, and this is the tool that we use to improve the performance, the execution, the timing of the handler and of the dog handler team. So video analysis has completely revolutionized dog agility. Notice that I didn't say videotaping has revolutionized dog agility. Everyone tapes their run. 20 years ago when we started agility, we started with these old, that old Panasonic camera.
No, they were even bigger than that. They came in this huge case. It was like the size of a small TV.
Well, yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah, and then we used the mini tapes. That was a big step forward, right? Because it's like a mini tape. And then we went to the
digital camcorder.
Digital, that's big improvement. But you
see that in the upper left there, the Panasonic.
That's right. And then we moved to the iPad, iPhone. So, everybody's taping their runs, but taping a run and watching it once is not going to turn you into an agility champion or an expert. So what we use and what we encourage you to at least try, because it is only $5, is the Coach's Eye. It's a video analysis app. And this app has completely changed the way we train ourselves, the way we teach, the way we create videos for you guys to see on Bad Dog Agility, the way that we give feedback to our students. It has completely changed all of that, and it has let us see agility in a completely different way and to see things in our runs that we never would have noticed if we were looking at it in real time.
Yeah, and I think this is a really big deal. Just like with the first question, the first topic that we had, people ask me, well, what's the difference between a good dog and a great dog? And I'd say probably their rewards, their reinforcement history. You ask me, what's the difference, between me and other trainers, right? How is Gitchy keeping up with these Border Collies? These Border Collies are a little more athletic and a little faster and a little younger than Gitchy. Well, how are we doing it? Again, people are going to look at me and say, well, the guy's 6 foot tall, right? He's tall and athletic. No, that's not the answer. The answer is video analysis. I can remember a run at my very first World Team tryout with Gitchy where she had a very nice run. And I compared in the Coach's Eye, a side-by-side, my run, which was clean, with the winning run, which was a World Team member, Roseanne Damasio and Strafe. And we were doing fine. We're just right there with them. We're about the same speed. They're a little bit faster. And then we got to one part of the course. It was a wrap. And Strafe killed us. And when I say killed us, I mean it was more than a second and a half. I said, there's no way that I should be losing a second and a half on this turn to a dog that's pretty close to you in speed, right? And I had to sit there and I had to figure it out. What was different? Was it the handling maneuver? What was going on with our dog's path? And without the Coach's Eye, I would never have noticed it. Because when you tape a run and you watch it, all you do is watch that run in isolation. And it's either clean or not. If it's clean, we call it a good run. If it's not clean, you call it a bad run, right? But when you look at these side by sides, you can take 2 great runs and say, okay, this dog was a little better right here. And that's what started giving me a competitive edge over other people with similar skills and similar dogs. Because now I can say, oh, I'm losing a little bit of time here. I'm going to change that. And then I would go and change it. And then I would be a little bit faster the next time that came up, and I would do a little bit better. So this is how I was able to build Gitchy into the dog that she is today.
And there's an idea in sports of the eye test. And people use the eye test all the time in agility, but it is not always correct. You cannot just watch a run and know. You cannot look at 2 handlers running and know which is faster. You cannot look at 2 handling moves and know which is faster. You can't look at a choice wrap, whether you're going to turn left or right, and know which is faster. You have to look at it with video analysis because sometimes the look is deceptive. And the Coach's Eye, the other thing is there's one tool that we could not live without with the Coach's Eye, and that's the timer. That is an add-on tool for another $5, but absolutely worth it. But you have to know what you're looking for. So even if you have the Coach's Eye, you need to know what you're looking for when you're analyzing your video. So freeze frame. When you look at any agility video on Facebook, YouTube, or the Coach's Eye, it doesn't matter. You can do this in YouTube. It's just a little bit more clumsy, a little harder. One thing you can do is pause the video at the right moment. And there's two critical moments that we look at more than any others. The first is the takeoff point. So we'll freeze the image the moment the dog's paws lift off the ground for a jump or obstacle, because at this point, the dog's path is locked. It's their flight plan. It's all physics. They can't change directions until they land back on the ground. So even if they are correct, they may be doing a lot of the turning after they land, and they didn't really know where they were going before they took off. So we want to look at that moment, and we want to look at the handler's body position and motion and ask ourselves, what is the dog seeing as they take off? Have we started to let them know what's coming up next on course?
And I love this photo here. It's taken from a video, and this is Sarah and Venture, and Sarah's performing a front cross. So she started here with the dog on her left, and you can see Venture's front feet are coming up in the air. So let's say you had your friend tape your run with the iPhone, and you don't have the Coach's Eye. All right, we'll start playing the video, and then what I want you to do is to freeze it at a jump where you wanted your dog to turn tight or do this or go that, or your dog went off course, something happened, you know, that went wrong, and look at it, freeze it right there with the front feet in the air. And then don't leave the dog anymore. Look at you. Where are you looking? Where are you going? What are your arms doing? And here you can see Sarah, and I know a couple of things right away. Venture should be getting ready to turn left. She's heading off toward the trees. She's looking in that direction. Her left arm is about to come up. I can see that she's doing a front cross, right? So that's information that the dog should be getting as well.
That's right. And this is so important that we actually switched from taping video on a camcorder to taping exclusively on our iPhones and iPads. So for those of you who have followed a lot of the stuff that we do, a lot of the stuff that we put out on Bad Dog Agility, that is almost all exclusively shot with an iPhone. So these days, these cameras are so amazing that you can use those phones as your primary video source, and then it's that much easier to get it into the Coach's Eye.
It's more convenient because you're removing the step of taking something from a camcorder or a fancier camera, and there are very high quality cameras out there. You don't have to transfer the file and do as much. But even for that, now they have things where you can like plug it into your phone and iPad and things like that. So there are definitely several different ways to do that. Coach's Eye just happens to be the way that we're doing it right now.
So the other moment we like to freeze is actually the stride before takeoff, because the dogs need to go into the obstacle preparing, and that preparation happens at least a stride before. It's the last time your dog can process information before they decide whether they're going to jump an extension or add another stride for collection.
Yeah, once your dog's front feet are coming up off the ground, I mean, that's it. You know, they're deciding to jump. It's too late. They're not suddenly going to try and throw in another stride, at least not with any kind of success.
That's right. So here we have a image of Estevan and Gitchy jumping 26, and this is the stride before takeoff. So based on Estevan's body position and motion, should Gitchy jump an extension or add another stride and collect?
So pop quiz here. Everybody look at this photo, okay? What should Gitchy do? Is she going to go right? Is she going to go straight? Is she going to go left? And then tell me, is she going to collect or extend? Okay, so you should be typing in two things: extend or collect, and right, left, or straight. All right, and let's see what we're getting here. We're getting left collect, straight collect, extend right, left collect, left collect, left collect, left collect, left collect, straight collect, left collect, straight collect. All right. So most people are saying left and collect, and a lot of people are saying straight and collect, which is very, very interesting to me. The correct answer is left and collect, okay? And people who say straight and collect, may not necessarily be wrong, but if you look at the way my body is, I am leaning backwards, and this is a universal cue for collection, because the handler here is decelerating. Anytime you slow down, you're going to look like this. Your legs are going to be in front of your body. Whereas when you're running as fast as you possibly can, just like Usain Bolt in the Olympics, they're leaning forward. Their heads and upper body are in front of their legs. They're leaning forward. So here I'm leaning backwards. That's deceleration. I want her to take an extra stride and collect. And I'm going to pull her here to the left side because I'm not pressuring her line to the right. And so that's what's going to give you the answer, left and collect.
So there's one key thing that I want you to realize, and that is that video analysis is a learned skill. It's a skill for you. It is a skill for you as the handler. It's not necessarily going to be easy. It's going to feel clumsy at first. It's going to feel not worth it. It's going to take so much time to get the video in and take a look at it. And, you know, you're not very smooth with the wheel or the drawings. You don't know what you're looking for. But you will get better with that skill by doing it.
Oh, let me interrupt here and say, for those of you who are Android users, I think the Coach's Eye is available, right? For
yes.
Android. It is available for Android. And for everyone who's a little confused on, you know, is she going straight or left? That's my poor explanation there. Yes, she has to go straight to take the jump in front of her. I mean, where is she going after that jump? That's how I should have asked that question. Then I think everybody would have got it right. So yes, she has to go straight to take that jump. But then after she takes that jump, I want her to turn left. So everybody, yes, you're correct there.
Right. And somebody asked what the timer was. So the timer is an add-on to the Coach's Eye. So it is like in the Coach's Eye, it is an add-on tool that you can purchase through their
It's like a feature, another feature.
Another feature that you can unlock with $5.
They know that it's the most valuable part, so they charge you another $5 for it.
That's right. So you've probably heard that video is the answer to your handling problems and you're taping your runs, but you're still having problems. It's because you don't know exactly what you're looking for. And that's why it's helpful to watch us analyze someone else's runs. And of course, it's most helpful if someone can analyze your runs. Then you start to learn what's important and what's not. And with practice, you'll get better because just like everything else, video analysis is a learned skill. So this is something that, oh God, when did we discover the Coach's Eye? It was like 3 or 4 years ago. And we have used it for almost every single training video we do has the Coach's Eye. Somebody mentioned a webinar on the Coach's Eye. I did one years ago and it's totally out of date. And so that's definitely something that we'll look into. And one more thing while we're talking about the Coach's Eye, people are saying there's an annual fee. They make it, in my opinion, purposely confusing. You can get the app for $5. They always try to get you to buy their like storage and everything for an additional.
Don't buy it.
Just don't buy it. If it's not $5, you may be looking at the wrong thing. And you can always email us, and I will set you on the right path. But do not pay more than $5 for this app. But we've been using this for almost every training video we do, for most of the feedback that we do. And so we have gotten very good with this, and you can get very good with it too, with time and with practice. So that's how Esteban was able to get Gitchy to compete with the best Border Collies in the US. So there's a sneaky bonus benefit to video analysis, and that is that it makes your visualization better. By watching video of yourself and your dog, you start to internalize how you each move. You can better estimate your speed and your dog's speed, and that leads to better timing. So a lot of people, that's what they're having problems with, is timing in the ring. And by looking at video of yourself, you're going to get better at predicting where you are and where your dog is. So visualization is something that the best handlers practice in order to prepare themselves for the best run possible. Okay, somebody's saying that the sound veers off. Okay, we're going to be a little bit more careful here. Hopefully y'all can hear me really well now. So as you perfect your video analysis, you are going to perfect your visualization routine too.
I think it's very interesting to watch yourself on video, because how many of you have ever heard your own voice on a recording and thought, man, I don't sound like that?
That's right.
Right. So when we started doing this podcast and I first listened to our podcast, I couldn't believe how I sounded. It sounded so strange. I also couldn't believe that I said so much, right? Every other word, I was saying it all the time and I had no idea. I would never have known if I hadn't listened to a recording. And that's what this videotaping is like for everyone out there doing agility. You don't really know what you're doing. There's so many times out there, I thought I was giving perfect cues, great timing. And my training partner would say, nope, that looks late to me. Late, late, late. And I'd be like, you're wrong. You are absolutely wrong. I'll look at the video and yes, I'm late and it's not even close. That's the power of video. Okay, it's better and more accurate than your memory and your eye in the moment.
All right, so we have beat that to death, I think. But so we're going to move on now to the final thing that we wanted to talk about today, and that's social support.
Let's talk about having strong social support and why it's so important, how you can develop your own. Sports psychology is a huge field. There's a lot of research that shows having social support is a major factor in both psychological and physical well-being. I'm a doctor and I know this, and this is something that's taught to us in medical school and residency. When patients have good social support, they have better outcomes. So as physicians, we're taught to really care about this and make sure patients have what they need so that they can get better. The same thing happens in agility. And why are we talking about sports psychology? Well, because dog agility is a sport. And as a dog agility trainer and handler, you are an athlete. Every single one of you out there. Now, there's some research that suggests that athletes feel there's a lack of understanding from others who are not involved in their sport. Have you ever felt that way? As you explain to your family why you really need to go to this 4-day dog show on a holiday weekend? So you need to find some support for your dog agility habit. And I want everyone to take a look at this picture we have up here. It's a calendar. And look over here on October 29th. And let me read that to you. It says, Isaac is born. And if you look at the 4 3-day weekends before that date, it says dog show, dog show, dog show, dog show. All right. So agility was very, very important to us. It is very, very important to us. And you need to surround yourself with people who are going to understand that. Aside from all the good feelings you're going to get when people like and love your photos on Facebook, you really benefit in 2 very specific scenarios that unfortunately happen a lot in agility. Okay, the first one is injury, and this is Brittany Schesler's Sheltie ticket. Whether it's you or your dog that gets hurt, injury is devastating because it's something that takes you right out of the agility game, right? It can have a very negative impact on your well-being. I want you to type yes in the comments if you have ever missed any time in agility because either you or your dog was hurt. So just type in yes. I just want to get kind of a sense of how many people have either gotten hurt or had their dog be hurt. And now I just see it. It's just yes, 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 all up and down the comments. And when you're out, it's your support system that keeps you connected to the sport and motivated to return. And I know because that's what happened to me. So 2 years ago, I tripped over a cable that was just out in my living room. I'm not going to tell you who left that cable lie out in my living room. And I stubbed my toe, but it was more than just a stub. It turns out I broke my toe, severed the tendon, and I needed surgery. So I had the surgery. I couldn't walk, put any weight on it for 2 months. And when I finally started walking and starting my physical therapy, it was about 2 or 3 weeks before Westminster. We happened to get off of the waiting list, got into the trial, and I ran Gitchie at Westminster, where she made the live televised finals. That never would have happened without the support system that I had in place. All right, the second thing that happens, aside from injury, is poor performance, right? After a poor showing, especially at a big event, or continued lack of progress, people are more likely to be unhappy and even give up. Your support system is going to help you through those inevitable slumps, because I'll tell you, agility is not a sport where every run is a clean run and you live happily ever after, right? Even the best dogs are going to make mistakes at a pretty high frequency.
And even the best handlers will make mistakes. And
That's
you have
right.
to have both. You have to have both the dog and the handler to have that clean run.
That's right. So how do we build that strong social support? Well, there's 2 kinds of support. And you need both. Okay, the first kind is emotional support, or what I like to call mom love. So we've got here a picture of Campbell's Chunky Soup. And you know your mom loves you no matter what. And she's there to tell you you're handsome, even when your haircut is messed up. I know Sarah's mom always likes to tell me it's handsome, that I'm handsome, but then I caught her telling someone else that he was handsome. And then I started to think, well, maybe she tells everyone they're handsome. Is that true? Well, in any case, when you're sick, your mom is making you chicken noodle soup, whether it's homemade or out of the Campbell's Chunky Soup can. And that's the emotional support that you need to get through these tough times. Now, the second kind of support you need is informational. If you break your leg, your friend has the phone number of a good orthopedic surgeon. If you go off course in the finals at Westminster, your instructor tells you how your front cross was too late and caused the off course. Now you can go back and fix it, and it's going to be less likely to happen again. Why did my dog go wide? Knock that bar, take that tunnel. When you get that feedback, that's informational support that you're getting. You really need this kind of support as well.
So let's put this in the context of something that we call the challenge cycle. So the challenge cycle is a simple diagram that shows the relationship between 4 important concepts. So when you encounter a new challenge in agility, there's going to be some failure. Every time you encounter something new, you're going to have some failure. But working through this failure is what leads to learning, and learning is what leads to success. And then you are set up for the next challenge. And this is how we make progress in the sport, by continually going through this cycle of challenge, failure, learning, and success. But the problem happens when we can't get from failure to learning. We get frustrated. We don't know how to make progress. We don't know what the next step is. We don't know why our dog is doing what they're doing. We get frustrated, and it leads to a dead end. It kicks us completely out of the cycle, and we're not making any progress. We totally stall out at that point.
I have a great example for you. Here in the United States, when backsides to jumps were first introduced, it was a new challenge. And a lot of people were struggling with it, right? So they were failing. There was failure. And some people learned from it, started incorporating it into their training. They had success. They were ready for the new challenge. But other people, they failed and they became frustrated with it. They couldn't find the help they needed. They couldn't work through it. And that was it. They hit a dead end. And so a lot of these people started to avoid runs or classes or master's challenge type classes or premier courses where they knew backsides would be elements required by the course design. And so that's an example of how you can really end up in a dead end if you are kicked out of that cycle.
That's right. And so what do you need? You need help. You need that informational support. With help, you move past frustration and you get back into the cycle. So you kind of got kicked out of the cycle with frustration and you're not making any progress. And then you get some sort of help. Somebody puts you on the right path, points you in the right direction, and you get back into the cycle so that you can learn, succeed, and be ready for the next challenge. And so that's what we wanted to do for you as part of this webinar, was to be that help, that Bad Dog Agility is your help. So we've talked in this webinar, we've talked about why you might be slowing your dog down, what you can do to keep your dog running as fast as they can. We've talked about how improving your timing with video analysis by pausing at just the right moments can help you identify some of these key points and make the changes you need to get past those problems. And we've talked about why you need like-minded people to help you get through those tough times. And so for all of you, we covered a lot of ground today. And so we want to take a moment to think about why you came to the webinar. You want to be a better handler. You want your dog to run faster. You don't want to be frustrated anymore. You're trying hard, but you're not always getting the results that you want.
We've been there. In the olden days, that we like to talk about, we used to drive hundreds of miles. We'd pay hundreds of dollars to go to these seminars, and you'd work your dogs for several minutes over the course of a weekend. Hopefully you'd learn something, and we'd say, oh, it's worth it if we learn just one thing. And we used to think that if we picked the right handling system, the right contact method, the right dog, we would have success. And, that just wasn't true.
So we made the same choice that you made today by coming to the webinar. We chose to educate ourselves about the principles of dog training, like positive reinforcement. We discovered the coach's eye, and we developed a system of video analysis. We learned to compare our runs side by side and surround ourselves with like-minded agility people. And we got better faster. Agility was more fun because training and handling challenges became puzzles that we could solve, and our dogs were our partners, and our dogs were not the problem. And that's why 4 years ago, we started the podcast, the Bad Dog Agility Podcast, to share what we learned with people like you. People wanted more, and we could see that they were having the same problems we had in the past, but they didn't have the time or resources to stumble on the solutions through trial and error. And so that's why we started our online training academy and created the VIP program. So today, somebody new to the sport can learn in a 5-minute video what it took us hundreds of miles of travel and years of trial and error to learn. And Esteban and I would personally like to invite each of you to join us here at Bad Dog Agility. You're a very important person to us, and we want to help you get better. And so we want to invite you to join our VIP membership program, and we're going to spend just a couple of minutes talking about that program for the people that aren't familiar with it. So one of the big deals about the VIP program is this gives you unlimited access to us. So the VIP program gives you direct access to myself and Esteban for your very own personal feedback year-round. So whenever you run into a handling question or a training issue, you can message us, email us, or send us video for analysis. And once you get that feedback from me or Esteban, and you see yourself as your dog sees you at those critical moments on course, you're going to start to make the small, important changes in your cues, your body position, your motion, your arms, your feet, your eyes. And all those changes are going to make your dog's path tighter, and that makes your times faster.
I think this access is a really big deal because I remember even when I'd go to a really, really good seminar, especially from someone who's like from another country, right? Someone that you really like, you feel like you learned a lot at that seminar, there wasn't really any kind of follow-up. You know, you'd have to wait for a year or 2 years for them to be back in your area. It's not like you could ask them all these questions that you had. And you're always going to have questions after you go home, right? You're going to go to the trial the next weekend. You're going to try all those very cool things you learned at the seminar. And you're going to have questions, but you're going to have no one to ask them to. And I think that's where this is really helpful because just like many of you can do now, you know, you ask us, and we're going to help you out.
But the VIP program is much more than that. We've built a supportive community and have an active Facebook group. So this can be that support network that we talked about. So people can ask questions, comment, and post videos for feedback. And it's for everyone in agility, whether you're new to the sport or an experienced competitor. You don't have to be part of the Facebook group, and some VIP members are not. They choose to send videos and get feedback privately, and that's totally fine. But if you need that social network, we have one of the most supportive communities on the social world.
Yeah, and you know, that's really important to me. Not just having the social support, because I think a lot of you know that there's a lot of toxic stuff out there on Facebook and in groups and in comments. And we are very, like, we answer everything in our Facebook group pretty much, right? So you just don't have people on there posting garbage. People are very supportive. And the other thing is that you can do all of the VIP stuff privately. You know, for myself, even when I sign up for other online things, I don't necessarily want people to know that I'm taking it or to see what problems I'm having with my dog. You know, that's my business. And I know a lot of you out there, even when you go to seminars, or some of you don't go to seminars because you know your dog has a tendency to run out of the ring, or your unneutered male has issues with other male dogs and you don't feel comfortable taking them to a seminar. And so, you know, there are some things that it's really not anyone else's business. And so other online courses, you don't always have that option, right? They make you create a login. Everyone can see your business. You post videos, it's public. Anyone can look at them. For us, you can have it either way. And so that was a very important feature for me personally to put in because I felt like there might be a lot of you people out there who were more like me.
So there, you know, it's not just about having access to us. We do have monthly content that goes out. So we have full practice courses. So every month we have a challenging course that we demonstrate for our VIP members. We usually run it with large and small dogs and analyze different sections of the course using the coach's eye, often using side-by-side comparisons to figure out which path is fastest for our dogs.
Yeah, for the past year, we've had 4 different judges. They all take turns designing this monthly course. And that does a couple of things. It keeps our VIP up to date, and it brings diversity to our training. You'll go to a lot of seminars out there. People will have a lot of online classes, and when they set up sequences and stuff, they're all there to make their own handling and techniques look really good, right? But when we have other outside judges and judges from other countries designing our stuff, right, they have no mercy, right? They don't care if we like front crosses, rear crosses, blind crosses, or whatever. They're going to put up hard stuff for us, and then we have to figure it out, right? And we have to know enough about all the different options so we can help all of the VIPers, because all of the VIPers have very different handling styles. And so between them all, we've got Tomas Traj of Hungary, Anthony Clark and Lee Gibson of the UK, Ann Croft of the United States. They've judged at all the premier events in dog agility: the FCI Agility World Championship, Crufts, the World Agility Open Championships, the AKC Invitational, World Team Tryouts for many different countries, USDAA trials, AKC trials here in the United States. So these are very experienced, accomplished judges who are out there and judging now. Right? They are current, and they are the trendsetters, and those are the ones that we've gotten for our VIP program.
We also do a renumbering that's more Masters USA type level, and that's so that if you do have the space to set up an entire course, you can have multiple options to run it. Because once you've done all of the work of setting it up, it's kind of nice to be able to leave it up for a couple of days.
Oh, well, Deb was asking about distance handling, and we just did the Facebook Live on the 3 different kinds of distance handling. So Deb, if you haven't seen that, I would definitely recommend that. And many of our VIPers do incorporate quite a bit of distance handling. I know I'm thinking of Rose specifically, but there are several handlers who are excellent distance handlers, and they enjoy the challenges of these courses as well. They set them up, they submit videos, and other people are like, wow, that's some really impressive stuff. And personally, I think that as international handling becomes more difficult, one of the ways that they're going to do that is to start incorporating these more distance type challenges. They're going to go out there and trap handlers like myself who like to run from obstacle to obstacle and use our athleticism. We're not going to be able to do that anymore. They're going to make us handle with distance handling. So I think that's a trend, and you're going to see more and more of that even within our own VIP.
So the other thing we have monthly, we have 2 different sets of small space exercises that we demo and analyze with the coach's eye. This is usually 4 to 6 jumps in a tunnel. So this is something that a lot of the VIPers enjoy setting up and running at home. You don't need as much space. It's typically going to be like 40 by 60 or 50 by 50, something like that. But you don't have to make up your own sequences. So that's going to save you time. You just have a short setup and you get to put this together. And somebody mentioned that they love the prep courses that we do. These small space exercises were patterned after our prep courses. People like that format so much that we brought it into our VIP program. And if you've been watching our Facebook Lives, we've been doing the summer series where we basically do this. We take a sequence from something that we find interesting. We run it a couple of different ways, look at different handling options, and then we have more difficult renumberings on the same sequence.
Every month, we also look at an interesting run, usually from a big event around the world, and we break them down with the coach's eye, and I'm doing most of these. Watching these is really going to help you recognize all the common elements between different handling styles. So I think there was a video going around recently of a gentleman who ran I think it was the Americas y Caribe event, right? He put together a fantastic run. People were really impressed, tens of thousands of views. But what I did was I put it in the coach's eye. Now you have the slow motion. I can move it back and forth, diagram it, zoom in, circle the dog, show you body language and cues that he was using, and really break it down for all of the VIP members, right? So thousands of people are watching the video and saying, wow, this guy's amazing. But our VIPers watch this video and then the analysis, and they say, wow, this guy's amazing because he's doing this and this and this. And so then they can take that and start to incorporate that into their own handling. And that's where I think you get a lot of value. We do the same thing with course maps in the coach's eye, so you can understand how to start planning your run before you even walk the course. that is for people in organizations who use course maps, because we just discovered in Australia, no course maps.
No slats either.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
So, interesting.
So that's the monthly content, but then we have bonus content on top of that. So we already mentioned the private Facebook group, and we'll be there for you, but you're also going to find the VIP community is going to give you that emotional and informational support you need to make it through the tough times. Well, we also have brought in videos from our sponsored athletes. So Sarah Baker and Jennifer Crank also provide bonus content for us, and our VIP members love them. So Sarah is a 2-time AKC National Agility Champion in the 20-inch height class, and Jennifer competed at the most recent Agility World Championship for Team USA and will compete at the European Open next month. She finished second in the finals at Westminster and third at the finals at AKC Nationals.
You know, more importantly, they're very friendly, very passionate about the sport, you know, knowledgeable. They explain things very well.
That's right. Super friendly too.
Well, this is going to be the start of the 4th year for the VIP program. So you're going to have access to everything going back to day 1. That's like a near limitless supply of small space exercises that you can set up on your own. And many of our VIPers do. They set it up, they get their friends together and they all run it. And full practice courses. You're also going to have access to all the special topic videos I do for the VIP members. So whenever they ask a question and, you know, I have the burning desire to answer it, I just get out there and I'll tape it. You know, I'll put together a little 2-3 minute talk, little demonstration, take a dog out there if I need to. And we often touch on a lot of the current hot topics that are going on in agility. And that's because I feel like the VIP is kind of, you know, my safe place. That's a place where I can go with like-minded individuals and give my thoughts or my opinions on something that's happening in the agility world. And you can't necessarily do that publicly out there, you know, just in regular social media. But this is something that a lot of the members have told us that they really enjoy and that they've learned a lot from.
We also have a mini course as part of the VIP program. It's called the Toot Up. This was actually our very first online course, and it provides the solid foundation for acceleration, deceleration, front crosses, and rear crosses. So for those of you that are a little bit less experienced, you're competing in novice or open, this would be a fantastic place to start. And it kind of gives us a common starting point for the theory that we use for these particular handling moves, kind of the bread and the butter.
So a lot of the information out there in agility right now is very one way. You know, it's someone presenting their pure vision of agility, their specific handling system, their one single method for doing a weave pull or a contact. And something that I wanted to say and note was that Justine Davenport and Jessica Patterson over at Shape Up Agility in Canada have been very influential in my own handling and training these last 3 or 4 years. And, you know, I'm pleased to announce that we've partnered with them to bring additional puppy and foundation content to our VIP program. And so when I talk about Justine and Jessica, when we talk about Sarah and Jennifer as sponsored athletes and giving the VIP content, when we talk about these 4 different judges, now suddenly you got 8 other agility minds at the top of their game, right, who are contributing content to the VIP, and suddenly you have a very diverse view of agility, right? And that's why there's room for everybody in the VIP program. And I think that over the last 3 or 4 years has made me so much better and taught me so much more in the last 3 or 4 years than I did in the first 15 years that I was doing agility.
All right, so I've seen some comments. I know y'all are ready. So are you ready to be the best trainer and handler that you can be for your dog?
I'm ready. You've got me pumped up.
I know, I'm pumped up too. I'm excited.
I want to go out and train right now, but it's dark.
It is dark, but I always love every year when we get to bring new people into the VIP program. So you're ready to become a VIP member. You can register today. It's $69 a month, and you go to baddogagility.com/VIP. So we open the VIP to new people just once a year. So this is your only chance to join until 2018. So this time next year, that'll be the next time we have people coming in. So we also have a yearly option. So for those of you who are so familiar with what we do, you are ready to go. If you want to pay for the entire year up front, then you can save $129 over the year, and you can use the yearly pay option. So you have both of those choices.
You know, for everyone who signs up before this webinar ends, so we have a fantastic bonus for you, and we put together a downloadable guide called 32 Tips for Turning Agility into Disney World for your dog, because this is really what you need to speed your dog up and get better at the sport. And it's something that Sarah Baker, now remember there's two Sarahs. There's Sarah Fernandez Lopez, my wife, sitting here next to me. There's also Sarah Baker, sponsored athlete, and Jennifer Crank. You know, the four of us put this together for you. There's a lot of great advice in here, and I use many of these tips. I did use many of these tips and techniques a lot when I was trying to speed up my own dogs, and I used several of them specifically for Gitchy.
And we know that you're going to love the program. We're really proud of the community that we've built, and we don't want you to have any concerns about whether or not this program is for you. So that's why we offer a 30-day, 100%, no questions asked guarantee. If you register and you don't think the program is a good fit for you, just email us before July 31st, 2017, and we'll send you a refund.
Yes, Rudy, VIP members, I'm going to get you those Disneyland tips.
That's right.
Don't worry about that. If you're already a VIP member and you happen to be in this webinar, yes, we're going to get that for you.
So we talked about a raffle at the very beginning.
Raffle time.
Raffle time. So everybody who is on with us live at this very moment is eligible for the $100 gift card raffle. Now, due to the technology, I am going to have to do this after.
It won't give us the list right now. It's recording the list. So we know, as this slide is up on the screen, we know exactly who is here, but we just don't know it yet.
That's right. So as soon as the webinar is over, I'm going to get that report of everyone that was on live, and we will email the 2 lucky winners.
But we will post it publicly on Facebook as well.
Sure.
So we didn't just, keep
Pocket
the money.
That's right. You can check with your friends and make sure we're on the up and up. Oh, somebody asked, how do you sign up? It's baddogagility.com/VIP. So just to recap, you're going to get the new exercises, the practice courses, the instructional analysis every month, 3 years of content, bonus videos from Sarah Baker, Jennifer Crank, puppy and foundation material from Shape Up Agility, access to our private Facebook group, access to me and Esteban, including video analysis. So we even have more things that we were running out of slide space. But for those of you who are big fans of the Facebook Live, we have been enjoying that format so much. And going forward, we're going to have a once a month Facebook Live publicly, and a once a month Facebook Live that's only for our VIPers. So if you are addicted to the Facebook Live show, you're going to get one of those every month as a VIP member. And then we also have started this new thing called focus groups. So we take a topic that people are struggling with, something like weaves, something like contacts, start lines. You can ask us questions anytime throughout the year, but we'll pick a topic and we'll have like a 21-day intensive group where everybody who's struggling with that topic will come together, VIP only, into a little smaller subgroup, and we'll work on that problem. And kind of having that support of your peers that are working through the same issues. We just started this in the last couple of months, and it was really cool. People really liked that.
Yeah, I think we just did the 21 days on the contacts, and I think that went really, really well.
That's right. And then for those of you who love our prep courses, you get 50% off all Bad Dog Agility courses when you're a VIP member. So if that's something that you've made part of your yearly routine, now you can you can work with this year round, and then you get a huge price break on those courses.
And Dakota, registrations should be available now.
Yes.
Right? And it's going to be all the way until, are you closing? We start July 1st, so you're closing June 30th.
July 1st.
July 1st.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll be able to register up till then. Now, if you register before this webinar ends, right, we're going to give you just a free 15 minutes at the end, just extra time to go ahead and register. Then you get that bonus. So if you want the bonus, the article, the 32 tips, you need to sign up today. But if you don't sign up today, as long as you get in before July 1st, you are good.
That's right. And again, you know, that 30-day money-back guarantee, this applies to both the monthly and the yearly options, by the way. So if you do yearly and within 30 days, we will refund you the entire amount back. After 30 days, there are no refunds. So those yearly people, you really need to decide in that first 30 days. If you're doing the monthly subscription, you can cancel upcoming payments, but you're not going to get a refund for payments already made outside of the 30 days. If you cancel the program, you do lose access to the site though, and we only bring members in June. So we're gonna get to the Q&A, and we will stay on for as long as you guys are here. But there are some questions that we know we're gonna get. In fact, I've already seen them in the thing. And that is, you know, is the VIP program right for the beginner? So we have had some beginners in the past, and we love working with newcomers to the sport. You're a blank slate, and you're going to learn everything that we did, but in a much shorter amount of time and with far less mistakes, because you'll have guidance from us.
I definitely love working with beginners.
That's
and now
right.
just let me make clear here, we're moving into the Q&A portion of the webinar. So all the teaching stuff is over. So if those of you out there, you already know you were going to be a VIP or you want to do it, go ahead, sign, register, and then go to bed. You don't need to stay for the Q&A portion unless you, of course, have questions that you would like answered.
And you can ask questions about the VIP program or about anything in the webinar. We're almost there. The last question that we knew we were going to get from people is, what about the advanced competitor or the instructor? So many of our VIP members do teach other people in agility, and in the VIP, these instructors can get the feedback they need for themselves. They're also getting courses and sequences that they can use with their students, and that saves them a lot of time and preparation. We just ask that you don't share our videos directly, but you can demonstrate the content and the teaching points of the videos to your students. And somebody's asking about the cost again, yearly and monthly. That's $69 a month or $6.99 for the entire year. And that's an ongoing subscription. So then this time next year, you'll automatically renew and be part of the VIP program for the next year. So if you have any questions about the VIP program or anything else we covered on the webinar today, now is your chance. We will be right here for as long as there are questions. So, and as long as we're live, you can register and you can get that bonus.
Even if the timer runs out.
Even if the timer runs out. And you can register after this. It's just if you want to get that Disneyland ebook that Esteban mentioned, then you need to register before we finish the podcast, or the webinar. But baddogagility.com/VIP is the place to go and register, and you'll see the prices right there as well.